The smarter you think you are, the easier you are to control. And the people who do it are counting on you never believing that sentence. Somewhere in your life, right now, someone may have already read you more accurately than you've ever read yourself. Your ego, your blind spots, the exact place where your intelligence quietly stops protecting you and starts working against you. This isn't a small oversight in how smart people think. It's a specific, well-mapped weakness, studied for decades, and it shows up in boardrooms and courtrooms just as often as it shows up in relationships. By the end of this, you'll understand the mental trapdoor built into every sharp, capable mind. The one that lets manipulators walk straight past your intelligence instead of around it. And you'll understand exactly how to shut it before the next person paying close attention finds it first. Here's the first reason, and it's the one nobody wants to hear. Intelligent people tend to be more certain they can't be manipulated, which is precisely what makes them easier to manipulate. Psychologists call this the bias blind spot. It's the well-documented tendency to spot bias, spin, and manipulation clearly in everyone else's thinking, while remaining almost blind to it in your own. And the research on this effect has found something close to cruel. The higher someone's cognitive ability, the stronger this blind spot tends to be. Not weaker, stronger. The very trait you'd expect to protect you turns out to feed the problem instead, because a sharp mind is also a mind that's very good at explaining itself, even when the explanation is wrong. Picture this. You're in a difficult conversation with someone who wants something from you, a favor, forgiveness, your trust, your silence. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet, reassuring thought shows up. I'd know if I was being played. That thought isn't protection. It's the exact door manipulators walk through, because it's the thought that makes you stop checking. You relax the one instinct that would have caught it, the instinct to doubt yourself just a little on purpose. And the more capable you've been in other areas of your life, the harder you've worked, the more you've earned, the more you've been right in the past. The more convincing that false sense of safety feels, because it's borrowing credibility from everything else you've been right about. But that overconfidence is only the beginning. There's a second trap hiding just behind it, and it's the one that turns your intelligence into a weapon used against you. Because here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Intelligence doesn't just fail to protect you from bad reasoning. In the right circumstances, it actively helps you defend it. Researchers who study reasoning call this myside bias, and one of the more uncomfortable findings in that field is that higher intelligence does not reliably reduce it. If anything, a sharper mind often just makes for a better lawyer, arguing on behalf of conclusions it already wanted to reach. You'd assume more raw intellectual horsepower means better judgment. What it actually tends to mean is a more polished, more airtight defense of whatever you already believe. Picture this. A manipulator doesn't usually hand you a false idea directly. They hand you a flattering one, that you're the exception, the one person who truly understands them, the only one who isn't overreacting. And because you're smart, you don't just accept that idea. You build the case for it yourself. You find the reasons. You defend the story better than they ever could, because your own mind assembled the argument from the inside, brick by brick, using logic you'd trust from anyone else. That's not you being fooled by a weak lie. That's you constructing a strong one on their behalf without ever being asked to, and defending it later to friends and family who saw the situation far more clearly from the outside than you ever could from inside it. And here's where it gets worse, because this next layer doesn't just sit beside the first two. It quietly recruits them. The third reason is this. Your confidence in reading people has almost nothing to do with your actual accuracy at reading them. Decades of research on detecting deception have produced one consistent, almost embarrassing finding. Across ordinary people, professionals, even those trained specifically to catch dishonesty, confidence in spotting a lie or a manipulator does not reliably track with the ability to actually do it. Intelligence, education, even years of experience buy you far less protection here than most people assume. The skill of reading a room and the skill of feeling confident in a room turn out to be two almost entirely separate things, and only one of them gets tested when it actually matters. Picture this. You're mid-conversation with someone who's exaggerating, minimizing, or quietly rewriting what actually happened between you. You feel steady. You feel like you'd notice the shift, the inconsistency, the tell, the moment it turns. That feeling of steadiness is not evidence of anything. It's just a feeling generated by the same mind that's currently being worked on. And the manipulators who actually succeed long term aren't relying on you being unintelligent. They're relying on you being certain, because certainty is quieter than doubt, and quiet is exactly what they need from you. A person who's actively questioning what just happened is a person still gathering evidence. A person who's already certain has closed the case, and closed cases don't get reopened without a very good reason. Here's the part most people miss entirely. None of these three things happen in isolation. They stack. Your blind spot keeps you from checking. Your reasoning skill defends the conclusion, your blind spot already accepted. And your confidence signs off on the whole thing before a single alarm bell has a chance to ring. By the time anything feels wrong, if it ever does, you're not questioning a stranger's story anymore. You're questioning your own judgment, which is a far harder thing to do and a far easier thing to talk yourself out of. So put those three together, and a much darker pattern starts to form. None of this means intelligence is worthless, or that being sharp makes you a target by default. What it means is something more specific and more uncomfortable. Intelligence protects you from bad arguments, but manipulation was never really an argument in the first place. It's a relationship. It works on trust, ego, identity. The story you tell yourself about who you are and what you'd never fall for. A manipulator doesn't need to outthink you. They only need you to keep outthinking yourself. That's the quiet truth sitting underneath most manipulation that succeeds against capable people. It was never a battle of intelligence at all. It's a battle over which part of your mind gets to be in charge. The part that reasons or the part that defends. And once you see that distinction, you start to understand why the most effective manipulators in your life were probably never the loudest people in the room. They were the ones who made you feel the most understood, because being understood is the one thing a sharp, self-reliant mind rarely questions. It's worth sitting with that for a second, because it reframes a lot of history, not just your own, but the pattern behind why intelligent, capable, otherwise careful people keep showing up in stories about being taken advantage of. It was never a failure of intellect. It was a mind doing exactly what it was built to do, aimed at the wrong target by someone who understood it better than it understood itself in that moment. So here's the one practical shift worth taking from all of this. The next time you feel completely certain about someone, certain they'd never manipulate you, certain you'd catch it the moment they tried, treat that certainty itself as a signal to slow down, not as proof that you're safe. Ask yourself one specific question, out loud if you have to. Am I defending this person right now, or am I actually evaluating them? Those are two different mental processes, running on two different sets of motives, and only one of them is protecting you. The moment you can tell the difference in real time, in the middle of the conversation and not 3 days later in the shower, you take back the one advantage manipulation depends on you never noticing. It's a small habit, almost embarrassingly simple, and it works precisely because manipulation relies on you never pausing long enough to ask it. Because remember where we started. The smarter you think you are, the easier you are to control. Not because intelligence is a weakness, but because certainty feels identical to safety, right up until the moment it isn't. The mind that got you this far in life is the very same mind capable of quietly talking you out of your own instincts. That's not a flaw in you specifically. It's closer to a feature of every capable mind, sitting there unused until someone else finds it first. The only real question left is whether you're willing to notice it in yourself before someone else does it for you. So think about that honestly, just for a second. Is there someone in your life right now who's never once tripped your radar? Not because they couldn't, but because you never let yourself suspect them. Sit with that a little longer than feels comfortable, and tell me in the comments exactly where your mind just went. If this is the kind of thing you'd rather see coming next time before it happens to you, that's exactly what this channel exists for. Stay a little more suspicious than feels polite. I'll see you in the next one.